I'm Lauren from Pack Hacker, and in this video we're taking a detailed look at the North Face Borealis Sling, which I've been testing for the last 2 weeks. If you found this video helpful, hit subscribe so we can keep making content that helps you travel smarter. Let's dive in. In terms of external features here, this looks pretty similar, you might notice, to the actual Borealis backpack. That is largely in part to this bungee on the front. So you can attach things to the front of the sling like you would with the backpack version. You just sort of adjust it down here, and then you have more give as needed. But otherwise it stays pretty much out of the way, so that's a good option if you like to have things on the outside. Again, if you want to have more things on the outside, there are webbing loops on the side here. We have 2 smaller ones down at the bottom, 2 very small ones up at the top, like if you really wanted to stick a carabiner in there, and then these ones here are a little bit larger, so you do have a few attachment options on the outside. In terms of other ways of carrying, we have a top handle here. It stays pretty out of the way, but it is nice and padded, so it's really comfortable. I found this to be a really great feature when I was just grabbing the sling, because it is kind of hard to throw just over one shoulder. So if I was going over short distances, I would just grab it by this handle. Nice and easy to carry, overall super lightweight in general, so not a huge issue there. And then overall with the rest of the pack here, it is fairly simple, just a few extra pockets on the outside, which we'll get into in a moment. Like a lot of slings, this sling is designed to go over one shoulder, but unfortunately because of how it sits on your back, it's not reversible. You can see that there's only one attachment down on the base here, and so when this is on your back, it sits vertically and it just goes over this side here. There is a buckle so that you can do quick on and offs, but because the actual sling is attached on one side and then the strap is on the other, it really only goes over that one side of your body. So, if you wanted to switch, be a little bit ambidextrous, this isn't a great option for that. But overall, the harness system is really comfortable. So we have this back padding here. There are like 2 sections of mesh. It almost feels like a memory foam. It's really, really squishy. It's almost a little bit overkill for this pack, but there is a little bit of an air channel there as well for some extra breathability. And then there is padding on this shoulder strap as well, though it is more subtle than this like memory foam bit on this back panel here. But it is pretty comfortable. It's a little bit wide, but you have a lot of flexibility. So overall, it is comfortable when you're wearing it on. And then we have a couple of loops here, one here, and then one down at the bottom. We'll get into this pocket in a moment, but you have, a little bit more attachment points on top of the ones that are on the other side of this pack. And then there are a couple of loose threads up at the top, nothing too intense, but just something that I've noticed over the course of my testing. This is how the sling fits when it's on. So as you can see, it's just thrown over one shoulder there, and then the actual pack itself is vertical. And so when you want to access your gear, all you have to do is swing it around to your front, and then you have access to this main compartment here. The zippers are nice and easy to access, and everything is kind of like a little shelf for you to get to your gear. So unfortunately, it is a little bit hard to throw over one shoulder. So if I were to take this off and just kind of put it on one shoulder, you can see there's like a gap almost on either side. And so this is what I was mentioning with that carry handle. That's where that comes in handy, because if you're going to be grabbing this quickly, I found myself like tossing it over a shoulder, and then everything got a little bit clunky and harder to access. So it really is a sling that is best suited over your body. So as you've probably noticed, there are, in addition to all of these attachment points, a few different pockets on the outside of the pack, so we'll go over those really quickly. So on the first pocket we'll go over here is on the front. This is a quick grab pocket, and it is fleece lined. It's nice and bright, super easy to see inside there. This is great for like a device, but it is fairly wide. So right in here I have my phone and my wallet, but if I were to stick my hand in here, it is the entire width of this sling. And so it stops about here, and then if it goes all the way down to the bottom. So you do have a decent amount of space to work with in that main compartment, or in this this front compartment here. And then in addition, it doesn't cut into that main compartment space. I will say this is a very smartly designed sling in the sense that you're not really competing for space when you do have things stored in pockets. So with this here, you have, it kind of like bows out the front versus cutting into that main compartment, which is really nice when you're storing a lot more gear. And then the next pocket we can talk about here is this water bottle pocket. It doesn't really actually fit a water bottle. So I have I believe this is a 18 ounce, Hydro Flask right here. As you can see, it's really just, even with that elastic, it's just not going in there. And so I found that I mostly it was easiest to just put a water bottle in the main compartment, but this is a good spot for a phone. So this pocket here, I actually preferred for my phone over the other pocket that can hold a phone. So this pocket on the shoulder strap, they say can fit a device. And while it technically can, I have an iPhone 13 here, it is a little bit awkward in there. So instead what I usually did was I put like a pair of sunglasses and then like chapstick or maybe my wallet in here instead, because those were things that I wanted quick access to. It was really nice to have that just like right over my chest and I can get to it whenever I just really wanted quick access to it. But I can show you kind of as an example what it looks like with the phone in there. There is like this mesh expansion around the sling itself, and so you can expand this pocket. You see it starts to like push out on this side, but then it gives it sort of like a square, boxy, rectangular, like a very strange look, not really something I was super into. And so that's why usually what I ended up doing was just putting smaller gear in here that kind of pushed out instead of sideways, and that helped maintain its like sleeker look. But it's definitely preference. I would just say the main thing to keep in mind is that this water bottle pocket here really does struggle fitting anything other than like a flat device, or maybe even something like really small if you have a very small water bottle. This sling itself is pretty roomy, so there's 6 liters of space to work with, and so we'll get into that main compartment now. So you can see here with the zipper track, it kind of opens in like a little like half moon shape, and so when the pack is on you, this side here is the side that's facing up, which we have a double zipper design here, reverse coil zipper, so it's nice and sleek. The zipper pulls are really easy to grab, so they're nice and comfortable, but with the zippers being double, I found that they were easiest to put down at this base here versus up at the top, so that when you do flip it to your front, the zippers are nice and easy to access, and you can kind of control how wide the opening is. So when you open it this way, you can get to things when it's on your body, nice and quick and easy, and then close it. Or if you are loading the pack up, you can unzip it wider and get a fuller look at the inside. So we're gonna leave that open like that so that you can kind of see everything on the inside here. I have a packable jacket. This is from Patagonia, and so if you wanted to keep an extra layer in here, that's a really great. At the larger items that you start to put in here, the harder it's going to be to get everything in at once. Usually what I did is I left it pretty empty, and then instead when I had a water bottle, that's where this would go. So it can make it a little bit lopsided, like the water bottle can kind of start to jut out at the bottom here, or kind of make it like fall to one side. So I found that that could be a little bit awkward depending on how much gear was on the inside, but in general, that's a really great spot for it. And then you have this back device pocket. It's a little bit padded. I have a little sample of a 3D printed device here, the Nintendo Switch, and so that does fit in there. Or if you have like a smaller iPad or a Kindle or something like that, any sort of like a tablet, that's a really great spot for that. If you don't have anything in there, it lays nice and flat. So overall, a little like pretty out of the way. I never really felt like it was a huge issue if I didn't end up using it. And then on this front panel here, we have a zippered mesh pocket. So you can see here, it doesn't fall all the way down to the bottom of the sling. And so you do have a little bit of control over where your gear is falling. And so when you're putting something in here, it's not going all the way down there and then you can't get to it again. So that is a nice little design feature there. And then this is just a really great dump pocket for all of the small stuff that you didn't put on the outside of the pack. And so in here I have, charging cables, my wall charger, and then there is a little plastic key leash that does a great job just holding your keys. It is a little bit of a like barrier if you want to quickly get to your keys to open your door, because you have to open up the sling and then open up another pocket and then kind of fish them out. But if you're not really using your keys, then that's a great spot for them. And then in here I have my AirPods as well. And so similar to this front pocket here, the one that's fleece lined, it kind of packs out into the pack, and then this is the same. So you can see when it's packed or when it's zippered, it's flat against that main compartment, and then as you start to add gear in, it is that bucket shape. And so as you add items, it's going to cut out into the pack, like into the outside of the pack versus into that main compartment. So overall, it is a very like smart designed pack. A lot of the pockets interact really nicely with each other so that nothing's really bulking out. And so when you do have those 6 liters of space, it doesn't really feel like clunky when you're getting all of your gear, or when you're loading it up. It's fairly simple to get everything inside and keep it neat and tidy. So there you have it, the North Face Borealis Sling. Thanks for keeping it here at Pack Hacker, your guide to smarter travel, and we'll see you in the next one.